This meeting to order. Do we have any additions or deletions?
None.
Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? All right,
Second.
all right, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, approval of March 1st, 2021 meeting minutes.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as written with any necessary corrections.
Second, all right, that's all in favor? Unanimous again.
Nick is on.
Hey, Nick, you're out there?
He was.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hey,
Hey, Nick.
can you hear us? Okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
sir.
All right, did you have any additions or deletions you wanted to make?
No, sir.
All right, are you okay with the approval of the March minutes?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're unanimous all the way across the board then. Item number 4, public comments. Anybody from the public want to speak? None? Nobody signed up? All right, staff report. All right, Rick, it's all yours, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to introduce a few guests here tonight, just to let you know. Of course, you know these gentlemen here, DePaul, Elia, Tomby, and Cobb Clanbit. They'll be here to discuss the MCCP the original Mid-Carolina Commerce Park expansion and some changes that have come along to that during open session. And this gentleman here, is it okay if I say your name?
Yes, sir.
This gentleman here is Matt Flores. He is with a prospect, and they want to do a short presentation during executive session to familiarize you with their particular project.
Okay.
And of course, Mr. Taylor is here. He is involved with this project.
Okay.
As we go. So thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's always a pleasure to bring to you what's been going on in the department for the last quarter. I wish I had better news to report on project activity. It continues to be relatively slow. We have had a couple of opportunities this quarter, but and there's a new one that just came out, but it's still relatively slow out there, and probably will be for some time. I went out to the new solar farm in the Bush River Industrial Park. These pictures are fresh. They were taken just today. So the construction there is effectively complete. I don't know if they're powered up yet or not, but it looks like they might be, because I went out there at right around noon during my lunch hour, and you see those panels are facing straight up towards the sun. These are tilting panels, so they can follow the sun over the course of the day. This was our first solar project, albeit a relatively small one, but I'm glad to see that we're coming to fruition here. And just a quick reminder of the expansions we've announced so far, KRA and CPRO votes in the past quarter. KRA expansion, Project SAM2, of course, this is public information today. I finally did get permission from the owner of KRA to issue a press release on this. Now, this is one where the KRA's name was mentioned in an open county council meeting, and for that reason, the State Department of Commerce said, we're not going to do a release on this. They see it as sort of stealing the governor's thunder, so we're not going to get a statewide press release on this, but I've worked with the Central SC Alliance, and we're going to do our own press release on this as soon as we get as soon as we finish up the press release. So we'll get it out. Those are fresh pictures I took today. As you can see, the roof is on, the floors are poured. It's just a matter of drying it in and then finishing it up. They are on schedule to be effectively complete in the September time frame. That's when they would get their certificate of occupancy. So this project is moving right along, and I spoke with the owner, had lunch with the owner just last week, and he's pretty pleased with how things have gone. Whoops, wrong button. Now, on to the Mid-Carolina Commerce Park expansion. Of course, there was a big budget amendment earlier this year, and a large part of that was to finance the expansion of Mid-Carolina Commerce Park. Of course, in this map here, you can see that red part is what currently inaccessible. The green part is what's accessible. We just put the bids out. The bid openings will be June 24th. This had an original budget of $5.5 million. We cut $350,000 early due to a smaller commitment by the South Carolina Power Team. So we cut out a couple of the phase 4, right? So now we're focusing on phases 2 and 3. And we found out last week or the week before that a $500,000 grant that we applied for through the Rural Investment Authority, we did not receive. These things are normally, there's never a done deal in grants. You may get them, you may not. But usually one like this you would think is low-hanging fruit. However, they had more projects, more jobs projects this year than they've had in the past 4 years, according to Bonnie Ammons, who runs the RA. So they just had too many projects to fund that. And I'll turn it over to Kyle and to Paul to explain what our strategy is from here on out.
Sure. And Rick, can you mind going to the, good evening, my name's Kyle Clamp at Alliance Consulting Engineers. Thank y'all for having us here this evening. Thank you, Rick, that's the perfect one. So what Rick was talking about in the bids that are out right now, we advertise for the roadway, the water, and the wastewater. That's for phases 2 and 3. To get you acclimated, this is the KRA project here. This is Technics across the street. Here's SWM, that was the former spec building. So the roadway stops essentially that roadway that goes between KRA and Technics. That's the roadway that's in place now. So phases 2 and 3 pick up where that road dead ends, extends on through, and we cross the 2 creeks, and then we stop at that point. That's what's out for bid today, just the road, the water, and the wastewater. That pad is not in there at this time. So when we submitted originally for the, excuse me, for the RA grant, we had met with, excuse me, Bonnie Ammons ahead of time to give her a heads up of the project coming forward. As Rick mentioned, there were a lot of announcements this year that were immediate job creation, not for future job creation, and those take precedence in the awarding process. So there was enough that all their funds were expended for this round. There is another round in September. You might ask, well, why can't we just go for that one later on? The reasoning is if you cannot issue a contract to a contractor before that grant is issued. So we would need to put this project on hold until after September. So the strategy was reduce funding on the building pad portion itself. So instead of looking at parcel 6 doing a 300,000 square foot building pad, we're going to back off to a smaller pad once we receive the bid information on June 24th. We'll have a better idea of what those numbers come in at. The budgets that Rick referenced, it was around $5.5 million, all included a 10% contingency in those. So we're hopeful that the bids will come in favorably. We have received a lot of interest in the bid that is out now, and we had the pre-bid meeting last week. So we had several bidders present during that time, so we anticipate a good response on the packages that are coming out. So any questions so far on that? Okay. The phase 4 that Rick referenced that was delayed to a later date is actually this section of roadway here. That completes the loop and gets the entire footprint of the Mid-Carolina Commerce Park to be provided with roadway, water, wastewater. So it is an important phase that we definitely need to be looking at other grant funding opportunities, whether that's the next round for the RA grant in September, looking at submitting for phase 4. That can be an option that we can look at, but at this time, instead of coming back and asking for more funding, we're reducing the size of the building pad.
And that's really all I had. I wanted to let you know. And we, of course, we had several options when we had this $500,000 deficiency in there. But we believe in living within our means and within the budget, so we're not going to come out to you with hands out unless there is no other solution. So we believe we found an acceptable solution here. We'll scale back the pad and keep moving forward. And we believe it's important to keep moving forward. We don't want to delay this thing any longer than it's been delayed. So that's what I had on the original Mid-Carolina Commerce Park. Let's talk about Mid-Carolina Commerce Park 2. Of course, you've heard about this before. We own this property. The due diligence is complete. We have one project that's very close to locating on this property that we will discuss in executive session. Now, this is an important point. I included in my budget funding for an entrance and signage to this new industrial property. That was cut. So we may have to come up with that money and sometime in the next fiscal year. We'll discuss that at a later time. This property, we got a site visit in May by the Strategic Development Group, which is a site consultancy. We got a very positive evaluation from them on this property, and it's now designated as a Palmetto site, which is essentially the new form of site certification. So this is good property, and we're already seeing that as being proved every day. This is our original 3-site design. We had 2 concepts for this park. One was 300,000 square foot buildings roughly, and the other was a 1 million square foot concept. Now, with landing one prospect on this, which we will probably do soon, it kills that 1 million square foot potential, but this is still a good property. And I wanted you to see this because we'll be discussing this 3-site concept later in executive session. On to prospect development. Central SE Alliance is going to fund a $5,000 grant, which will do drone video of Mr. Fretwell's property. This is 950 acres, I believe, between 219 and SE 34. What you see there is part of his master plan. It includes industrial, commercial, and residential components. Mr. Fretwell is effectively his own developer on this. He has hired a broker who's helping him market this property. And so we'll have a new drone video on this excellent property soon. We did run an ad in South Carolina, Biz Magazine, promoting Newberry South Industrial Site. And the Korean mission for October is still on, but it's still fluid. Right now, if you fly into Korea, you have to do a 14-day quarantine before you can hold your first meeting. That would obviously negate any value that we would get in a mission. So hopefully, the government of South Korea will revise those rules between now and then. I'm vaccinated. I could prove I'm vaccinated. But anyway, we'll just see as we go there. And in terms of other, there is no central SE invoice. Next invoice will be cut July 1st, so I'll bring that to our September meeting. I've had numerous existing industry contacts in the last quarter, and we do them on a weekly basis. Now, as you know, I'm looking for a replacement for Kara Cannon, who very ably assisted the department for over 5 years. We've been advertising that position for 3 weeks. We have 5 total candidates, and a couple of them, in my opinion, are really good on paper. I'm a little disappointed at the number of candidates. I thought we'd get 12, 14 applications. We've not received those. We've only gotten 5. We'll probably let it run through this week, and then Catherine and I, we purposely didn't put a deadline on this, and Catherine and I will reevaluate and decide when to cut that off and when to do interviews. But I understand there's a new interim administrator coming in, and we'll certainly coordinate and bring him into the loop as well. We held a Workforce Opportunity Summit at Piedmont Technical College a few weeks ago on May 20th. I had 9 local industries that attended. It was a great meeting, it really was. We talked about workforce issues, apprenticeship programs. We learned a lot about what the different industries are doing to attract talent and labor during such a trying time. And believe me, they are all experiencing difficulties, from the lowest paid facility to the highest paid facility. They're all experiencing difficulties. One of the positive things was I've learned at the creativity out there that's being used by these companies to attract people. You know, they've increased their wages, which is good for the community. They're offering starting bonuses. They're offering retention bonuses. I've even heard somebody offered a commuter bonus. So if you drive more than a half hour away, they'll help you pay for your gas to get back and forth to work. So great comments. They want to make this a regular thing, and we'll probably end up doing that. That's all of my open session materials, Mr. Chairman. I would request we go into executive session now to discuss projects and land sales.
All right, heard the report. Anybody got any comments or questions for Mr. Farmer at this time? No. Nick? Any questions?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. All right, this time we'll go into executive session. Who all do we need to have stay in here?
Well, for the first issue will be Mr. Flores and Mr. Taylor, and
Okay.
we'll be discussing Project Echo.
Okay? Yeah, we got a motion to go into.
I make a motion that we go into executive session.
All right, all in favor? All right. You okay with going to executive session, Nick?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're in executive session. We're out of executive session. Anybody outside that needs to come in? I don't think so. I doubt it.
Me too.
All right, we're out of executive session. Anybody want to report out?
Reporting out of executive session, no decisions were made.
All right, thank you. All right, with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second, all in favor? Nick, you in favor of adjourning?
Yes, sir.
Go back to enjoying your family. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great week.
All right, you too. All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you, folks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.